Most artists are building their careers completely backwards. And I know this is a strong statement, but hear me out. Every day I see artists worrying about followers, algorithms, engagement, commissions, and whether they should be posting more on social media. But almost nobody is talking about the thing that actually determines whether you can make a living from your work long term. And that's income streams. Because here's the reality. If your entire business relies on one source of income, you don't really have a business. You have a vulnerability. If commissions dry up, you're in trouble. If a client leaves, you're in trouble. If an algorithm changes, you're in trouble. If a convention gets cancelled, you're in trouble. And that's exactly why I wanted to make this video. Now, while you're watching me create this Wolverine illustration, I want to walk through the 5 income streams that have personally made me money through my career as an illustrator. Now, not hypothetical income streams, not things I've heard on a podcast or things that I've read in a business book, real income streams that I've used. And before we jump in, I want to start with a slightly controversial opinion. I don't think commissions are the best income stream for artists, and I'll explain that. Now, don't get me wrong, I've made a lot of money from commissions, that's important, but too many artists build their entire career around chasing the next commission, like the next inquiry, the next email, the next project, and that's exhausting. The goal shouldn't be to get commissions, the goal should be to build a business where commissions are only one piece of the puzzle. So, let's start with the first, print sales. This is usually the first thing artists think about when they start trying to make money from their work. And that is creating artwork, putting it on a website, offer prints, wait for sales, and they think it's that simple. But it's not quite. One of the biggest mistakes artists make is creating prints before they've created demand. They spend money printing stock, setting up websites, ordering packaging, then they sit there wondering why nobody is buying. And the truth is, people don't buy prints simply because they're available. They buy prints because they already care about the artwork. Demand comes first, then product comes second. This is one of the reasons galleries work so well. A gallery already has an audience. They already have collectors and they already have buyers. So when your artwork is introduced to that audience, you're not starting from zero. And some of my experiences with galleries like Bottleneck Gallery and Hero Complex Gallery have reinforced this lesson. The artwork matters, of course, but the audience matters just as much. So that's why I'd encourage artists not to think about prints as their first income stream. Think of them as something that becomes more powerful as your audience and reputation grows. Now moving on to the next one, number 4, which is merchandise. This was really an interesting shift for me because it changed how I thought about artwork. When I started creating merchandise designs for bands and musicians, I realized something important. The artwork wasn't just there to look good. It had a job to do. It had to sell, it had to appeal to fans, and it had to communicate something quickly. And that is a very different kind of mindset from creating just personal work. Now, I've worked on merchandise for musicians, bands, and entertainment clients where every design decision matters. The artwork needs to work from, say, 10 feet away. It needs to work on a black t-shirt. It needs to work on a website. It needs to work on social media. And suddenly you're not just creating a piece of artwork, you're creating a product. And honestly, I think it's one of the most valuable lessons an artist can learn. Because the market doesn't reward effort, it rewards value. Now, merchandise taught me to think commercially, and that's a skill that carries over into every other area of your business. Now, moving on to the next one, which is freelance client work. And this is probably the most income stream that artists are familiar with. Say album covers, book covers, poster projects, private commissions, advertising work, and even branding. I've spent years mostly working in this space, and while freelance work can be incredibly rewarding, I think most artists misunderstand what actually makes it successful. They think client work is about finding clients. It's not. It's about keeping clients. Anyone can land a project. The real challenge is becoming the person a client wants to hire again and again and again. I've learned that reliability is often more valuable than simply the talent. That might sound strange coming from an illustrator, but it's true. Clients want someone who communicates clearly, that can hit deadlines, solves problems, just makes their life easier. A great artist gets hired once, and a reliable artist gets hired for years. Some of the best opportunities in my career haven't come from constantly finding new clients. They come from nurturing relationships with existing ones. That's where stability starts to appear. That's where reoccurring income starts to appear. And that's where your business starts becoming far more predictable. Now, the next one is licensing. This was kind of a major turning point in my career, as licensing was one of those things I knew about, but I didn't fully understand at the time. But in simple terms, you're creating work connected to established brands, properties, companies, or intellectual property. For me, that has included working with galleries, entertainment properties, and agencies connected to major brands. Now, the reason licensing is powerful is because you're not just creating artwork anymore. You're creating artwork that already has an audience attached to it. And I want you to think about that for a second. If you create an original character, you have to build awareness from scratch. If you're creating work connected to a property that already has millions of fans, you're entering an existing ecosystem. That doesn't make it easy, but it does create opportunities. And licensing creates credibility. Every successful project becomes a stepping stone to the next one. People begin associating you with larger opportunities, larger projects, and larger clients. And that momentum can be incredibly valuable. But my number one income stream isn't commissions. It isn't prints. It isn't licensing. Now, drum roll, it is relationships. And honestly, I don't think it's even close. The biggest opportunities in my career didn't come from social media. They didn't come from viral posts. They didn't come from algorithms. They came from people, real people, clients, art directors, gallery owners, authors, creative directors, and musicians. The reason relationships are so powerful is because they compound. Every successful project makes the next opportunity more likely. Every positive experience builds trust. Every relationship creates the possibility of referrals. And referrals are often the highest quality opportunities you'll ever receive. If somebody you trust recommends an artist, you've already entered that conversation with credibility. And that's incredibly powerful. I genuinely believe that if I lost every follower, every like, every subscriber, every social media account, I could rebuild. Because the real asset isn't the audience exactly, it's the relationships of those individuals, it's the reputation, it's the trust you built over time. And that's why relationships sit at the top of my list. So if there's one thing I'd encourage you to take away from this video, is this. Stop trying to build a career from a single income stream. Start building multiple streams. Now, you don't need all 5 tomorrow, and you don't need all 5 in a year. But over time, every additional stream makes your business more resilient, more stable, and less dependent on just pure luck. Now, if you're serious about building a sustainable creative income, that's exactly why I wrote my book, The Profitable Artist. It's over 300 pages focused entirely on helping artists make money from their work, attract better opportunities, price themselves properly, and build a creative career that actually lasts. Now, if that sounds useful, there's a link in the description below, and I'd love to know your answer to this. Which of these 5 income streams are you currently relying on the most, and which one do you want to build next? Let me know down below in the comments, and thank you for watching.